All right, welcome back to the Attack the Rack YouTube channel. This is the Attack the Rack podcast with myself and Big Mo. We come to you every Saturday morning, 9 a.m. To kind of talk about the week that was, but also kick off your weekends. Um, we have towards the end of this episode a phenomenal interview with Mr. Steve Eidson. Steve Eidson is a longtime basketball coach and teacher in the West Michigan area, 30 years coaching basketball. Doesn't even look 30 years old. I don't know how the heck he fit in 30 years of coaching. But we have a phenomenal interview that Big Mo and I did with him that will be towards the end of this podcast. So stick around for that. We also got this weekend 2 more episodes of the fantasy football preview with Corey Walters. Friday, which is actually today that we're recording, we put out wide receivers preview, and then Sunday will be tight ends, and that will wrap up the fantasy football preview we did with fantasy football guru Corey Walters. Phenomenal series for you fantasy footballers out there looking for a little advice. Big Mo, I do want to go look back at the week that was of our daily lineup show. I tell you, when I go back and watch some of those, I wonder where my brain is sometimes.
Oh, uh-oh.
I made a I made a couple of errors. When I'm talking, like last night's episode, which again was Thursday night's episode. We were talking about the WNBA schedule for the night, and I said there was 6 games. There wasn't 6 games. There's only 6 teams that were playing. There was 3 games, and then we were talking about what game that you might tune into, and I told you, hey, the only option was the 8 o'clock game on Amazon Prime, but there was a game at 9 o'clock on ESPN too.
There was.
ESPN, I don't mean ESPN two, I mean ESPN as well.
Yeah.
So, sometimes I wonder where my brain is, and I want to apologize.
Well, Curt, we all can't be perfect, man.
Well, I mean, people tune in every single day to get accurate information from the three of us, me, you, and Trent.
It's true.
And,
That's true.
I think that show is becoming kind of the rock of the company. It's doing very well. Um, Guys, I want to ask you. Obviously, if you're watching this right now, you're somebody that watches our show probably every Saturday. You probably tune into some of the other content that we put out. Please take a half a second and you just hit that subscribe button. By doing that, you are helping us out a ton. The more subscribers we can get, the more YouTube will put our content out into the world. And then even more so, if you're watching it, just hit the like. It takes a half a second. So, and by subscribing, it doesn't mean you're going to be bombarded with any kind of notifications or emails or anything. If you do want to be notified every time we post something, just hit that bell and you'll get a notification on your phone that we uploaded content. Otherwise, I mean, we upload something almost every day. So as long as you're checking the channel every day, you're not going to miss anything. So had to plug the channel there too there, Big Mo. Big Mo, it is the weekend.
It
You
is
had,
the weekend. It is the weekend.
I'm sure you are excited for the weekend. You had your first week back to work. Your side hustle we've talked about before. You teach full time. Um, you didn't have students this past week, but you were required to show up for work and get ready for the year. How you feeling after 1 week in the books?
Woo! Well, it's actually, I'm looking forward to it. I like to be on a little bit more of a schedule, a little bit of a routine.
Yep.
Kind of makes the days go by a little bit quicker and a little more, just you got a little better flow to the day.
Yep.
So, and that helps me if I'm working, whatever it is. I'm not spending money. I'm not eating extra. So I'm looking forward to kind of getting back to the grind and doing everything that entails that I enjoy doing.
Yep. And then probably already looking forward to that Monday, Labor Day that you got off.
Well, I never look ahead that much, Curt.
Um, well, hey, one thing I wanted to talk about. Obviously, it's a big topic around here. We're in Michigan. We're both big Michigan Wolverines fans. Obviously, there's a lot of Michigan Wolverines fans around here that watch our program. Unfortunate news out of Minnesota Vikings training camp. Their first round pick from the University of Michigan, quarterback JJ McCarthy, went down. I think it was maybe on Tuesday. He was complaining of some soreness in his knee. Went in the next morning and got it looked at and found out torn meniscus, but torn enough where he's going to have to miss the entire season. So pretty heart-wrenching news there. Big Mo, I know you've had some history with some knee issues. Yours has pretty much always been ACL, if I'm not mistaken. Have you ever had any meniscus issues?
Yeah. I'm trying to remember. Yeah. I mean, just a year ago, I had a torn meniscus. I was squatting, lifting some weights, and popped uh, popped some stuff in my knee, which then ended up being cartilage, some bone fragments, and then a torn meniscus. So, um, yeah, not comfortable. Um, I think I went about a month where I could barely bend it. It would
Yeah, oh
get
yeah.
stuck. It was, it didn't really hurt maybe so much, but sometimes it would give out, couldn't put pressure on it. It was kind of a hodgepodge type of thing until I could get it all cleaned out.
Yeah. And then obviously you had surgery that time. But let's
Yeah.
rewind. Let's rewind back to when you were what,
Way back,
16,
way back, way
16,
back.
17 years old, and
Yeah.
you tore ACL or partial ACL in football.
Partial tear. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Partial tear football. Um, Back my junior year, my sophomore year, I actually, I don't know how it happens. I just remember, man, I can't remember what the diagnosis was, but my knee had a bunch of blood in it.
Oh wow.
Yeah, yeah. I had to go get it drained out. It was like, oh man, it was. I remember my dad was with me. He about fainted because like it was like looked like it was swollen.
Yeah.
They just drained blood out of it.
Oh.
And I do not remember what was the cause of that. So maybe one of our viewers has an idea what would cause that. But I do remember my dad was about ready to pass out. He and myself are not one for blood and needles and all that. So uh,
Yep.
and then my junior year, uh, Holland High football team, I think believe was 4-0 when I was got injured at Granville.
Oh.
Caught a pass and planted and tried to make a move, and I just heard it rip.
Okay.
Um, and yeah, that was a pretty good partially torn ACL um, that they went in and tried to repair.
Now the crazy thing about that is that that happened about midway through the football season.
4 games in.
Yeah. So about halfway, you played what, 9 games?
I think 3.5. I got hurt the fourth,
Oh,
so
okay.
actually three and a
Okay.
half, three and a
Gotcha.
half games in.
But then just 2 months later, 3 months later, you were back on the basketball court. Didn't miss a game. Did you miss any? Did you miss any practices, or were you ready to go for basketball? Like that?
No,
That
I
doesn't
was,
add up.
I was, I was, I didn't miss any games. I didn't want to. I didn't play the year before. Probably not a wise move. I think I was like at 80%. I think my doctors tried to advise me against it, but they said, go ahead.
That's
Um,
crazy.
I know. But you could tell I was a totally different player than I probably was
Prior.
before the injury. I never was as athletic as I was after I tore it, and I didn't take the time to get it. I didn't take the time to let it heal or put enough time into it to probably let it get back to where it needed to get to.
Yeah, I mean, back in those days, and still, you tear your ACL, you're out several months. Back then, usually it was like guaranteed you're out for a year, and you were back on the basketball court just a couple months later.
Yeah, partial torn, partial torn.
Okay,
You know,
so that's part of the reason you were able to come back is it wasn't a full tear.
I think so. I think
Okay.
so. Yeah. I mean, I couldn't tell you how much it was torn. I mean, I know they went in, they cut it all open and had to suture it back together. So,
Wow.
yeah.
Wow. Incredible. And then many years later,
Any.
and it was many years ago now, so it's okay. I would assume it's okay. We can laugh about it now, right?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
You were coaching and you're on the sidelines, getting a little bit excited, jumped up with excitement, or was it anger,
I think it was like disapproval.
disapproval, and then landed and then heard a pop, or did you, or
Yeah. No, I think it was a foot stomp.
oh, it was a foot snap.
Foot
Oh, the
stomp,
classic
which
Big
I've known.
Mo
Which yeah,
foot snap.
yeah, definitely one of the things I um,
The
took
foot
away from
snap.
took away from from my college coach. Um, and I again heard that thing tear.
Okay.
Knew something was wrong. Didn't know exactly what, but then had an
Oh,
MRI done. And oh, sorry,
other same knee from high school or the other knee?
same knee,
Same knee.
same knee, and ended up. It was probably the middle of the season. Definitely had carried some extra pounds for a long time. Knew what I went through in high school, that type of like recovery, which was probably not even close to what it should have been. Didn't want to get it fixed, never got it fixed. Try to let it heal on its own.
Yeah. Now, and then when you did go in for surgery a couple years ago for that issue you were having, didn't they say something like it was
Yeah, they said it looked okay.
crazy?
So no idea. I mean, I remember going to an MRI and they were like, "Yeah, it's torn. You should
Yeah.
have it fixed." And I was like, "I'm not I don't want to have surgery. I don't want to be out. Don't want to try to recover from that being
Yeah.
however old I was at the time." So, and I wasn't really playing competitively anything to make it worthwhile. So,
Okay. All right. Well, hey, we definitely wishing JJ McCarthy the best. Hopefully he can stay super involved with the team this year, learn a bunch and be ready to, obviously with the advances in modern medicine, they're going to get that knee um back in shape, back healthy, all repaired, fixed up, and hopefully he'll be able to start a long career next season. Um, Back talking again about yesterday's daily lineup show, which again it was Thursday's daily lineup show. We were talking about how the WNBA is back. Again, I made that crucial error saying there was 6 games Thursday night. There was only three, 6 teams played. Such a moron. And then, me and Trent, we talked a little bit about WNBA, kind of how we're liking it, how we watching. Trent, obviously not the hugest fan. You and I mean, I wouldn't say we're super fans, but definitely I have not watched a second of WNBA basketball prior to this season. I've been on the Caitlin Clark train, watched all of her games, haven't watched any other games for the most, I don't think. Uh, but you seemed a little bit more pumped up about it, and Trent kind of called you out a little bit and asked you to maybe make a chart with each game you watch, and then at one point in the game you fall asleep. So last night I know you watched, was it the Chicago Sky game or was it the New York Liberty game?
I watched both.
You watched both.
Yeah.
So we got 2 games on this chart. How did the sleep or lack thereof go?
Well, both games were blowouts, Curt. So, midway through the third quarter of each, I think flipped back and forth in the because I think the
They overlapped.
Liberty played at 9. So
Yeah.
I watched about 40 minutes of the first three quarters of the Sky and Phoenix.
Yeah, Phoenix Mercury.
Yeah, and they Phoenix got up by 20 early, and then it was kind of a snoozer.
Okay.
So I didn't fall asleep because then I switched over to the Liberty game, and they were up maybe 10 or 15 by the time I tuned in, and
Yeah, they're good.
that ended up being a 30 plus point game. So
Okay.
again, by the third quarter, I was kind of like, again, didn't fall asleep.
All right.
Uh,
We'll take
yep.
that, Trent.
Yeah. So I got good, I got a good couple quarters in for each game, and no, no dozing off.
Yep.
Um, the Liberty game, I watched some of that, and the Sparks are brutal.
Yeah.
And not even just the brutal, like not much effort last night.
Okay.
So, kind of disappointing just to watch. Like, I was like, wow, man, it doesn't even feel like they're. Again, I talked a little bit about how maybe some of the physicality from the Olympics carrying over,
Yeah.
and there was none of that.
Okay.
It looked like a team that probably is waiting for the end. Um, in the Liberty were phenomenal. So
Well, so I mean, obviously they got well, in both games, you saw a handful of players that played in the Olympics. Did it look like there was anybody look tired or anything?
no, I mean, what was it? Cooper, who
Yeah.
was returning. She, I think, played for Chicago for a couple of years. She was kind of returning, so she was phenomenal. I think she played in the Olympics.
Yep.
I thought they rode Brittany Griner early, kind of getting the ball inside, and she looked like obviously she didn't play a ton in the Olympics, so
Right.
she
Right.
looked pretty fresh. Um,
Diana Taurasi, she didn't
yeah,
play much in the
she
Olympics.
didn't. No, she didn't. She didn't. I don't know if she played well last night. She had a couple nice passes, and then
Stewie for the Liberty.
Stewie was phenomenal. She got kind of broke out of her shooting slump. Was 3 or 4 from downtown, which she's been struggling, I think, at least prior to the break. And Sabrina was good. Again, she
Okay.
didn't play a ton in the
Right.
Olympics, but had 17 last night, 17, 18. Um, and then I think they've got one other player. Who am I trying to think of there? Um, anyway, yeah, they both games kind of snoozers after the third, but obviously two really good teams in the Phoenix and
Yeah.
the Liberty.
Liberty.
So
Um,
yeah,
so,
I don't plan on falling asleep in a game, Trent. So you take that.
so despite the fact that you referred to the games as quote snoozers, there was no snoozing from Big Mo.
No snoozing for me. Yeah,
All
no.
right. All right. And then again, it is Friday. This comes out on Saturday. Friday, today, tonight, Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever back at it. I'm definitely planning on watching that. Big Mo, you gonna tune into that one?
I'll have to tape delay that one
Oh
as
yeah,
I've
you gotta.
got some prior commitments, but I will definitely watch. Again, I'm really expecting Caitlin Clark to have like a phenomenal second half.
No, I like
Caitlin,
it.
don't let me down.
Yeah, yeah. No, I like it. I like it. And then we talked about earlier in the week too on the show, Dave Portnoy put 100 grand on the Indiana Fever at that time. They were plus 10,000 to win the finals. Uh, nice $10.1 million payout for him if that happens. Those odds significantly dropped all the way down to last I checked, down to plus 4,500 after Portnoy placed that bet. But still, I mean, I wouldn't throw it out. I mean, they they started out the season pretty rough. I think like 1-9 or something like that. But they were playing almost every night for some reason. And then they went like 4 or 5 days all of a sudden without a game. And they came back and they looked a lot more cohesive. Um, I think they're playing, and ever since that point, I think they're like, what are they? Maybe I don't know, a handful of games above 500 since that point,
Yeah.
and looking a lot better. And they're definitely going to make the playoffs. They're in the seventh spot right now. If they can get into the playoffs, you never know what can happen. They've already beat the Liberty. They beat the Mercury. They competed with the Minnesota Lynx. So Might not be a bad bet.
No, no, I think I do think they're one player away. So I'm interested. I think the trading deadline is next week, maybe
Okay.
7, 10 days away in the WNBA.
Okay.
So I'd really like to see them make a move if they could, or
Yeah,
find another piece.
sure.
Um, Maybe find either a bench player or even a starter. So
Yeah, I
it'll be
mean, we've
interesting if
talked.
they get interesting to see if they can make a move, and then I think they really might have a shot.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, we've talked about this before too. The trio of Caitlin Clark, Aaliyah Boston, and uh, Kelsey Mitchell. Um, when those three are on the court together, they can compete with anyone. But the problem is once one of them needs to go to the bench, then they really start to struggle. So that's where it would be nice if they can get, one more piece. So,
Yeah,
yep. So, all right. Well, I'm looking at the clock here, Big Mo. We are approaching halftime. It is halftime. You know what that means? Ding, 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 ding. Halftime adjustment segment. Still looking for a sponsor. If you want to sponsor any of our segments, any of our content, you can email us at attacktherack3333@gmail.com. Feel free to use that email address as well. If you have any questions that you'd like us to answer on the program or any comments, concerns you may have, feel free. Just know anything we do get emailed is fair game for us to talk about on the program. However, we will respect your anonymity unless you give us the okay to say your name. With that being said, let's get into our halftime adjustments. My adjustment, Big Mo. I was pretty disappointed. I was really excited for the breaking in the Olympics. Not to take anything away from the competitors, except for the gal from Australia that scammed her way into it. Um, I thought they all did a really nice job. I just felt the whole aura of it. It felt just more like a production when that's really not what breaking is. Breaking is part of this underground hip hop culture along with rap music and graffiti. And it's just a really kind of an underground thing. I think it's great that it was promoted in the Olympics and an Olympic sport, but I think they needed to maybe make it somehow give it more of that feel of that undergroundness more so than a production like they did. Um, so my adjustment would be if they ever do it again. As of now, it was a one and done. It is not part of the 2028 Summer Olympics in Los Angeles as of now. So if they do ever do it again, I'd like to maybe see it more um, old school, underground, more realistic style. So that's my adjustment for the week.
very good adjustment. Very good. I will say it was weird watching. I think I watched the semifinals and the finals
Yeah.
of the breaking for the men.
Okay.
Obviously, have you seen anything about like the Australia
Yeah.
women's? Okay.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. She scammed her
and,
way in.
yeah, seriously. I don't know. It was hard because if you have no clue what they're exactly basing stuff on unless you
Right.
watched every single dance off.
Yeah.
So again, it obviously super athletic, talented individuals, but tough to gauge again. Just the whole. I mean, again, interesting to watch. I'm not sure I'll miss it in the 2028 Olympics if it's not there. Um, I, I, at this point in time, I'm looking forward to. I think they're going to add a couple of different sports to the 2028 Olympics. So, um, right now, I will not miss the breaking.
Yeah.
But maybe it'll come up in like their own little league or something like that. It'll
Sure.
pop up on ESPN or something like that.
Sure. Sure.
My halftime. Ready?
Yeah.
My halftime adjustment. My halftime adjustment. Um, you know, Obviously, I mean, I am into the WNBA right now. I don't mind watching it. I do think there are things they got to do better, but I'm intrigued. So I'm going to say my halftime adjustment here, though, is Trent brought this up the other day, the WNBA sliding or connecting into the 2K stuff.
Yeah.
And some of those ratings. They got to go back. If they're going to do it, let's do it correctly.
Yeah.
Let's put some people in charge that know what they're doing um, in regards to the WNBA and those rankings. And again, I'm not sure Angel Reese should be a 90 if Caitlin Clark is a 90. I will say this: I'm gonna give Angel Reese a little bit of a nod. The fact that she brings a little something different to the game. Again, she had another double double last night.
But
Kurt, it doesn't matter. Here's what I
before,
thought. In my head, I started thinking, I love Dennis Rodman as a
yeah, I
player.
know. Yep.
And he had a little bit of that once in a while. Now he also was a phenomenal offensive player in college,
Yeah.
uh, junior college especially. But he kind of just did what he was supposed to do for the Pistons and for the Bulls and for whoever else he played for. Reese has got a little bit of that dog. Like she brings a little attitude, I think, that can change your team. So kudos to her. I don't know if she deserves the 90 or should be rated the same as Caitlin Clark in a WNBA 2K atmosphere. So whoever's in charge of that, let's just make sure we're doing it correctly.
Well, and one thing I want to know too, are they rating the WNBA on their own scale and the NBA on their own scale?
Yeah,
Because
oh, definitely. I mean, they're two
because
different games. They're
if
two different games.
LeBron is a 90, then obviously Angel Reese sure isn't a 90.
No, but I do think they've got to base it on the game
Yeah.
itself, not compare the two.
Yeah.
Because I do think something like that could expand again
Yeah.
what they're doing. But I do think they're two different games. Um, and so I think they just got to make sure they maybe get some people who understand the WNBA is different and it needs to be their
Yeah.
ratings can
Right.
be similar, just not the same.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really sick and tired of like everything having to be compared. It's just it's its whole thing, you know. It's like you don't
Well,
why?
it's like comparing the '90s to today's basketball players, right? It's just
Yeah,
different.
it's
It's
different.
different.
So, all right, no, good one. And then Angel Reese. So yeah, what was she last night? 4 of 14 from the floor. So not
No
very.
clue. No clue. All I know she had a double double.
And a 20-point loss. And it sounds like there's some tension on that team too. I'm hearing.
Oh,
So
really?
involving her and some of her teammates. So we'll see how that plays out.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
all right. Well, no, have you heard anything
No,
about it?
no,
Okay.
I haven't heard anything about it. So
Well, and if they didn't talk about it last night during the game, then it's probably not that big of a deal. But
yeah,
all right, let's get to our interview with Steve Eidson, Big Mo. What do you say?
yeah. Let's go for it.
All right, here is our interview with Coach Steve Eidson. All right, so we welcome in now Steve Eidson, longtime coaching legend here in the West Michigan area. um, Steve, big supporter of the Attack the Rack YouTube channel. We appreciate all the support you give us, and you know, appreciate you taking some time out of your weekend here to spend with Big Mo and myself, talking some hoops, talking some coaching. I've known Steve for probably over 20 years now. Actually, even started not even because of basketball. We spent some summers working together, a summer job in the Parks and Rec field. We probably could do an entire show just talking about those stories.
The old Dust Patrol.
Yeah. Um, and then also I know Big Mo has known Steve for years too, just because of the West Michigan coaching circle. And Big Mo, you even coached with Steve for about what was
Yeah.
it, 4 years?
Yeah, well, I think you were coaching when I was playing in high school. Is that possible?
Yeah, thanks, Plank, for bringing that up. Yeah.
Yeah, no problem. I like to throw that in there because we got to deal with Trent on a regular basis. That was a
Yeah.
3-year-old when I was playing for his dad. So, yeah. So, and then obviously we had a chance to coach together for I think it was 4 years at West Ottawa. Um, Tell us a little bit how long you've been coaching all together.
Oh boy. So I think it's been about 30 years altogether. Started in college when I was helping out with Grand Haven's program in their ninth grade level with Dan Bauma. So yeah, about 30 years in total. So long run.
What obviously we got to work together at the JV and freshman level. Um, and we were talking the other night, and I did not bring this up, but you had some interactions when you had a little bumping around the JV freshman level. When I came in, were you currently the freshman coach, or did I like bump you freshman? And did we have any bad blood?
No, no, Kling, that actually could not have worked out any better actually because my daughter was going through West Ottawa's program at the time. And when you came in, I had almost decided to step away from it so I could watch my daughter, play through her high school career. And I sat down with Coach Windmuller at the time, and we had sort of discussed that. And then my daughter found out that I was thinking about retiring, and she was not happy with that decision because she knew how much I loved it. And so you coming in allowed me to bump down and worked out perfect so I could still get away and watch her, but still be involved with coaching with you in West Ottawa at the time. So it was perfect. But hey,
Oh,
an
good, good.
icon like you, I would have stepped down to let you take over because I enjoyed my time with
Well,
you.
we did have some fun at the end of the bench every now and
Oh my
then.
gosh.
No, I
You
appreciate it
introduced,
because we were talking when we were talking about that the other night. I was like, oh man, and I don't remember what happened yesterday. Curt can affirm that my memory, short term or long term, is abysmal. And I was like, man, I wonder when I came in and I was doing I worked for 1 year for Steve doing freshman at Holland, and he was like, hey, do you want to come over? And I was kind of like, I don't know. And then I heard, oh, you get a chance to work with Steve Eidson. I was like, oh, well, I'm in. It's over. So I'm glad it all worked out. I'm glad there was no quiet bad blood circulating in the background there because we had a fun 4 years.
oh,
So obviously you guys had a huge at to the Breslin. Tell us a little bit about that run.
yeah. Well, first of all, when you introduced the quarter zip cling and sitting on
Ah,
the end of the bench, that I love getting away from the shirt and tie. So I appreciate you on that. But the Breslin
that's
run was
definitely not one of my favorites.
yeah. The Breslin run was unbelievable. As always going to the semifinals every year and watching teams play in it and watching the team sitting up in the suites up there, always hopefully dreaming someday that you would be there. And then you actually get that opportunity was pretty sweet. We had a great group of guys that just worked hard, had played together for a long time. We had a great staff. It was just an amazing, amazing run. Awesome community support. I mean, to see everybody come together it was an awesome time to be a part of. Also very tiring. I think I was watching like 4 to 5 films every single night of that run, scouting and getting ready. It was exhausting, but wouldn't trade it for anything.
Yeah, no, that was. I mean, as a high school coach, those are the things you dream about. Whatever your varsity, JV, freshman coach, I think that's one of the reasons you get into it. You chase that expectation, that goal, that challenge to kind of you know make it to the Breslin at some point. So definitely fun to watch. Not only those guys play that I had a chance to coach, but also good friends coach in that atmosphere because that's the that's one of the pinnacles I think of the high school that you hope to achieve sometime or someday.
Yeah, and you think about the thousands here in the state of Michigan, thousands of head coaches over all the years, and only a small handful get to experience that. So pretty cool, Steve, that you got to experience that. And you mentioned already Coach Steve Windemaller. Obviously, Big Mo and I are connected with him. Big Mo not only coached with him, also when he played at Howland High, when I played at Howland High, Coach Windemaller was an assistant coach for us. So we've known him for years. Great guy, great coach. Um, and you had mentioned him. He was the last coach that you coached under. what I find interesting about your long run of coaching is again, you were mostly at the JV level, minus that little spot there where Big Mo came in for 4 years and bumped you down to freshman. But you went through 5 different varsity coaches. Is that correct? I believe it's 5.
Yeah, I started off, my Coach Chapman gave me my first job, and then Coach Washington came in after him. Then I think it was Coach Amaral, then Coach Van Fossen, and then Coach Windemuller. So yeah, it was a gamut of coaches during my tenure.
So what was the kind of some of the challenges going from coach to coach? I mean, some and a couple of those coaches you mentioned, you probably actually were the elder statesman and had more experience then.
Yeah, um, they were all great. I mean, all great basketball minds. Um, and the funny thing was I didn't feel like things changed tremendously. They were accepting. They all had their own, special things that they wanted to implement into our program. But they all gave me and the freshman coaches the freedom to read our team. What kind of talent did we have? Put in what we wanted to run, with the putting in his staple of what they wanted to do. But all great people, all of them. We had tremendous staffs to work on. They were fun to be around, and so it was tough, always changing and going through a new guard. But every time they came in, they made me feel welcomed and wanted, and so that was made it easier with all of those.
And then, did you ever have a desire to bump up to the varsity level? Or, I mean, for me personally, I always enjoyed the lower level or the varsity assistant role. Never really had a desire to be a varsity head coach. Was that a desire that you at one point had, or never really?
I can't say it was a desire. I think I agree with you. I'm just sort of the behind the scenes guy. I did have an opportunity. I put my hat in one time for the girls' position. My wife just said, "You'd be good for it. Go and do it." I had a lot of people asking me. So I put it in, interviewed. The process took a little bit of time. And I think it was just God's plan for me to just stay where I was because it
Sure.
pulled my hat back out and just enjoyed doing what I've always done and stay at that level. But I did, it's not like I had a desire. I think I was more doing it because other people wanted me to.
Okay.
And then the more I felt or sort of thought it through, just sort of stuck to the roots and stayed put.
What any coaches in your younger days, or even as you got older, that got you into coaching?
Yeah, I'd have to say the two coaches that I coached with or played under in Grand Haven. I played for my uncle Bob. Bob Eidson coached, geez, I think darn near close to 40 years in Grand Haven. He was very instrumental. Just growing up with him, I played for him in my 8th grade season and my JV season. And just watching him relate with kids, make friendships, but still expect that high expectation of work ethic on the court. He was a big one. Dan Bauma, the first guy I started with at the freshman level in Grand Haven, were huge. And so that was growing up in Grand Haven. If you're a boy back in the day, to use that term, your goal is to play, basketball. And so it was always in me. And then I just got to see those two guys and the impact that they had on young people's lives, where it was huge to me. And so I wanted to sort of do that someday.
It was Coach Taylor, was he around during that time?
Yes, he was the varsity coach when I started off as a 9th grade assistant. That was during the
Right.
JP Huntington days, that run that they had. So it was a good group to be around.
He was always Coach Craig Taylor, who was the head coach, high school Buccaneers, Grand Haven Buccaneers coach when I was playing. One of my favorites. He always just had a cool personality about him, a little quirky, but as I got older, I would see him at different places, and we'd always have a fun conversation. So always, you build some of those relationships from a player
Yeah. Oh
to a
yeah.
peer, and he was one of those guys that was able to do that with, along with a bunch of others.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So Steve, so you were obviously you started coaching at Grand Haven in that era of the J.P. Huntington era, and obviously even prior to that, Grand Haven had some phenomenal teams, and then certainly J.P.'s era as well. You know, that was the era when Big Mo was playing varsity. You know, he's the same grade as J.P. Huntington. Those you guys can probably both speak to this. What an incredible rivalry
Oh,
that was. Some incredible battles both at the pit in Grand Haven and the Dutch Dome.
yeah, two nostalgic buildings to go in and play. It was fun. I remember Big Mo. He was a mover and shaker back in the day. I enjoyed watching him play, and which made it more special to be able to coach with him and get to know him more as a person. And but yeah, those days back then were legendary.
All right, so Steve, you mentioned 30 years. That's a little bit of a time frame of coaching. How over that 30-year span have you seen the game of basketball change?
Uh, I don't know if it's more. I think the biggest thing for me was the speed of the game definitely picked up. You're getting players now that were faster, stronger. Weights became a huge addition to the game. Back when I played, I mean, we lifted a little bit, but not as much as it's emphasized today. I think offense and defensive schemes have sort of come and gone, but probably just the speed and the skill level that I think players are coming with now. It's like a year-round season now, where it used to just be, your 20 games. Now it's not just 20 games anymore. It's year-round. And so I think those have been the biggest changes during my time, just the speed and strength and the talent that the kids have.
Sure. No, for sure. And then too with the addition now of over you've probably seen over your career too how much AAU basketball
Oh, yeah.
has grown and taken.
Yes. Yep. Yeah. I don't even think we had that on the west side of the state when I was around. It was all east side. And so yeah, so now it's blown up big time.
Hey, it looks like we're kind of bouncing around here. It looks the same on my end, and I know I'm the one who's usually bouncing and moving. Those are the comments I get, like, "Hey, Big Mo, would you just stay still on your screen?" I'm not good at it. I'm not good at that part. So, um, hey, to add on to what we were kind of just discussing, what some highs and lows from your coaching career experiences?
Yeah. Well, the Breslin run that we just talked about earlier had to been one of the biggest. I mean, it was an epic run to be a part of. For me personally, I know when Coach Mo became a coach with our staff, I think he had the best season at 19-1. He did steal four of my main guys that year. I think that might have been a first undefeated season for me if I would have been able to keep those, but I was not selfish back in the day. Um, but Mo's on the move again here.
He's on the
We're on the
move. He's
move.
constantly
Jeez, look at
moving.
this guy. Um,
I'm not
so
driving. I'm not driving this time.
um, so yeah, another one. I did have a season where I had a good group of guys that we went 20-0. It was quite a season, a lot of ups and downs, and just a cool thing to be a part of with everybody following along and seeing did you win that on Friday night again. I think the biggest high for me is just now after I'm done and you get to be friends with people that you coached, you hang out with them, you go grab a bite to eat. Those were huge highs for me. Um, I didn't really have, believe it or not, a lot of lows. Um, it was I've had a couple of seasons that were not as successful, but I think each year my players made strides, got better in areas, whether it was offensively or defensively. But probably the biggest low for me was uh, at Granville during my last team camp.
Oh, during
And I
camp.
went home and broke down and cried in front of my wife and my tank was empty. I just ran out of gas. And And that was hard. That was probably going that next day, our last day at camp. I wanted to tell my players first. And so I think it was the toughest, and it was hard. It was a hard decision to make, and it was the right one, but it was really difficult. So those are some of probably like the highs and lows of my 30 years. And I don't miss the grind, but I do miss the players and hanging out with them and just being around them is a big part that I miss.
Yeah. Well, I think that was, I mean, for me, coaching at that level, um, even just like going out on a Tuesday or Friday night after the game to kind of break everything down and get all the frustrations out, or to celebrate. Like those are the things I think that were tougher to come by later in the career. Um, but at West Ottawa, that was something we did on a regular as a group. And it was just a good time to, whether it was with families, individuals, just that's such an important part, I think, of the coaching game, because it helps it probably helps fuel your go. And um, I will say it's kind of cool to hear that, at your point, like, hey, at least you kind of knew that it was time. Okay, the tank was empty, and you kind of got to go out on your own terms a little bit. To say, hey, I've had enough, and I know it, because that doesn't always happen, I think, and that's something I hope you can take with you.
Yeah.
Feel good about.
I always ask my uncle, I said, when did you know it was time? And he goes, when it became a job.
Yeah.
And for me, I mean, it was never a job. I mean, I taught elementary for almost 30 years, and to be in that classroom and then be excited about getting into the gym, it was never a job. It was just an awesome experience to go and, be with, you know, your guys in that 2.5 to 3 hour time period. But you're right, Clayton, hanging out after and just hashing out things, whether it be positive or negative. And that's why I still enjoy doing stuff with you guys like that we did the other night, hanging out. And I do miss that, because now that you're out of that circle, it's like you don't do that as much anymore. So
Definitely. Well, the door is always open.
hey,
The door is
sweet.
always open. I prefer a Friday evening. Doesn't have to be the coaching world. Just the door is always open for a cold beverage, um, or snacks. I'm not one to turn away food. So
Hey, I'm right there with you.
All right. Hey, one other thing too. I'm just curious, as we kind of start to wrap up here. Do you got any advice for anyone thinking about getting into coaching, or even maybe as who has started coaching and young coach?
Well, I think my advice would be to do it. I mean, it's a rewarding experience. Um, just all of the connections that I've made through it. It's awesome. I think asking questions, reaching out to others. I mean, if any coach says that all his stuff were all his ideas, would be lying. I mean, we steal things all the time. So just looking up for people that have been doing it for a while, asking their help would be a big one. I was always a film guy, scouting and doing things like that. So, but just getting part of a good staff, and not being afraid to ask for help. And, you know, it's, it's a great profession. And so I would, strongly suggest that they do it and give it a try, because it's very rewarding.
All right, Steve. Well, hey, we really again appreciate so much you taking out a chunk of time here this weekend to talk some coaching with us. Before we get you out of here, we're gonna include you on our segment here for the week, and that segment is called Favorite Three. Favorite Three is a segment Big Mo and I do every Saturday morning on the podcast, and we would love for you to join us in that today. So we're going to go Steve Eidson, longtime Ohio State Buckeye. And you mentioned us hanging out the other night. We had some
die hard Buckeye.
Great Michigan Wolverine, Ohio State Buckeye talk, which we said we're not going to talk about on the show.
I have a problem.
But hey, we are getting into football season. Here's what we're gonna do. Favorite three, and this will be tough for me and Big Mo as we are Wolverines. Well, let's go favorite three Buckeyes um, of all time. They don't have to be football players either. Just so Steve, we'll start with you, then I'll go, and then Big Mo will go, and we'll each go one at a time, and we'll go 3 rounds.
All right. My first one, no brainer. Linebacker Chris Spielman was probably one
Ooh,
of
good one.
my all-time favorite Buckeyes. Just the way he played the game and went and played for the Lions. So
We
yeah,
can
Chris
agree on
Spielman.
Spielman.
Yeah,
Spielman's a good one as a Lions fan. Um, that's a great pick.
That
Great
is
pick right
awesome.
there.
I remember too because when he was playing for the Lions, I was pretty young, and so I wasn't fully aware of like where all these guys had played in college yet because that was when I was really young. And I remember the moment I found out that Spielman played at Ohio State, and it was pretty disappointing.
come on.
Um,
Yeah.
but no, awesome player. So here's my first one. This guy was a coach at Ohio State, an assistant coach back in 1958, all the way through 1962, and his name is Bo Schembechler, who ended up being a long time, very successful head football coach at the University of Michigan.
That's why they were so successful because he learned from the best.
Good background. Good background for him.
All right, Big Mo, on to you.
Well, I'm probably my favorite college player of all time. Um, I'm going to go with Charles Woodson,
Oh,
who happens to be from Ohio,
from the Buckeye
right?
State. Yeah.
Buckeye State. Just an amazing talent. One of the first players to probably, I don't know, was there someone before him that won the defensive Heisman?
He's the
No, I
only
don't think so.
defensive player
I
ever to
mean,
win the
come
Heisman.
on. But again, one of my favorite players and probably one of the best defensive players all time in college football from the great state of Ohio, but Michigan Wolverine.
Nice. Good one. Good one.
Yeah, he was a thorn in our side for many years. Yeah.
The
All
one that
right.
got away.
Not a bad returner.
Not a bad returner. My number two, I'm going to stay in the linebacker field, and I'm going to go with AJ Hawk.
Ooh, yeah. Good one.
Another, he's a Chris Spielman protege. I just think he was hard nosed, played it right, and hit you hard.
No, for sure.
You know what?
Ohio State football has had several guys like that.
Yeah.
I would, I am a diehard Wolverine fan, but I did love Spielman. That's why I kind of like, if you would ask me when I was in high school, my favorite players were, Spielman was in that range. Just that hard nosed linebacker, someone you wanted to, you go to work and he was going to hit the snot out of you.
Yeah.
And Hawk was the same way. So even though I dislike Ohio State, the linebackers, because they kind of all just kept their mouth shut and they just their game, their game just did all the talking for them.
Yeah.
So
vote for itself.
Another good pick there. I like that pick.
All right, my next one. Not only is he from the Buckeye State, he's from the Buckeye City of Columbus, Ohio. Trey Burke, awesome point guard for the University of Michigan basketball team. Even went to a national championship game. Trey Burke, Columbus, Ohio.
Nice. I like how we're spinning all this. I like it. Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm going to throw it way back.
Way back.
Dan Deerdorf. Again, from the great state of Ohio, somehow snuck away and attended the University of Michigan. And just a heck of a football player, throwback. I'm a throwback type of guy. So Dan Deerdorf.
Dan, Hall of Famer,
Hall of Famer. Oh, Hall of Famer, yeah, easily.
And great announcer as well. So
I feel like I'm being sort of the troops are rallying on one guy here. All right, my third one, I almost did a double because it was hard between Eddie George, and then I'm going to throw it to the big slobs, the offensive lineman Orlando Pace.
Oh, number one pick.
Yeah,
nice.
Hall of Famer. So yeah, that would be my number three.
Yeah, I remember when he got when he was playing at Ohio State and all the hype around him. Like you never really seen an offensive lineman before that get that kind of hype.
Yeah.
At least in the time that I had been watching college football, and then to see him go as the #1 overall pick as an offensive lineman, I mean that speaks to how talented and how good he was.
Yeah, he's a big man.
All right, well, my third and final one, I'm going to go with also a coach from the great state of Ohio, the Buckeye State from Toledo, Ohio. His name's Jim Harbaugh. Just coming off a national championship with the University of Michigan football team. So I will go with him as my third and final favorite Buckeye from the Buckeye State.
Another good pick there, Curt. Another good pick. I mean, those Ohio guys are really talented.
What an incredible state! Incredible amount of talent coming out of that state.
We like to share. We like to share.
For sure. That's good. That's good. The last one, hey, I'm going to throw one out there. He'd be at the bottom of our list. I mean, I think we've got the top 5 Ohio guys that have played or are connected to the great state of Ohio. But just a recent one, so maybe some of our younger listeners can relate a little bit. But Jake Butt, tight end, just recently drafted, 5th round from Pinkerton, Ohio.
Yeah.
If I recall, he had an outstanding career for those Wolverines, didn't
he? He did.
You know what? He's sort of like a guy like a Spielman or a Hawk. He just let his play do the talking. Even though he played for the team up north, I enjoyed watching. He was a good player. Great Big Ten analyst right now too. So
yeah, unfortunate injury that he sustained in that bowl game. Kind of ended up probably the reason his NFL career was so short. So, all right, have we each done our 3 now?
We got him.
All right, we did it. Favorite 3 Buckeyes.
Yeah. We even did it by getting along. We're going to bring these 2 fan bases together.
Yeah.
It all starts here.
Remember, as we get along, attack the rack.
Yes.
All right, Steve. Well, again, thank you so much for supporting everything we're doing with the channel, first of all. And thank you so much for spending a good half hour here of your time with us talking coaching. And we would love to have you back again at any time, talking hoops, talking college football. You know, Trent, he's part of the Attack the Rack family. He's a big Buckeye fan with you. I wonder as the football season progresses and Big Mo and I with Trent on that daily lineup show, kind of going 2-on-1 against him.
Yeah, he may need some support. I've already seen that.
All right. Well, Steve, thank you so much.
Hey, thanks guys for having me on and doing what you're doing. I love it. Keep it going.
Awesome. All right. And that was our interview with Coach Steve Eidson. I thought it was really, really good, Big Mo. That was obviously the first time we've tag teamed in an interview. You know, it was a little bit challenging to try to figure out who's going to ask what, when we're going to ask it. And I thought we did a pretty decent job, but always room for improvement. But overall, the content with Steve himself was actually absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, great to get together with Steve and chit chat and just kind of, again, obviously I had the chance to work with him. Yep. He's had the chance to coach against me, and yeah, just fun to rekindle some of those memories.
No, for sure. And I like doing that interview and having that as a part of our podcast here. I think we got to try to get some more interviews and include them in our podcast.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see if the people like it, Curt. We'll see.
Yeah, let us know in the comments. And then I will at some point upload just the interview as a separate video on the channel as well, for those of you who want to watch just that again. All right, winning interview, another winning episode of the Attack the Rack podcast. That'll bring us to the end of the program, where we finish up with our segment looking for a sponsor. Winner of the week, Big Mo, what do you got?
Well, Kurt, I've got one in my back pocket, but I do got to bring up right now. I just saw on the ticker,
Yeah.
Connor Stallions
Oh,
hired as a defensive coordinator for a Michigan high school team.
no way.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, that's
So
great.
sounds like Mumford High School.
Yeah, over by Detroit. Detroit
Yeah,
Mumford, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So that sounds like the kids and the people around that program are pretty excited. Obviously, we still really don't. We'll find out more maybe with the doc, but
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I don't know if that's a winner or whatever over there. Again, everyone deserves a second shot, and another.
Yeah.
He's probably working through a lot of stuff. So we'll see what happens with that. So winner of the week. I'm going to keep it. Obviously, it's been a show a little bit WNBA.
Yeah.
Winner of the week. I saw this posting on a Instagram or maybe TikTok. I don't know, but it was Caitlin Clark's effect on the Indiana Fever
Yeah.
revenue.
Okay.
Did you catch any of this?
No, but I'm sure it's probably pretty good.
Well, and I was trying to find something on there, but obviously her salary, I think, is like just below 100,000 for the Indiana Fever, maybe as a rookie.
Yeah.
But let me read through some of this real quick here. Just I thought it was interesting.
Yeah.
They've sold out 100% of season ticket inventory.
Wow.
Hot dog sales, Curt, are up 300%.
Woo.
They've sold like their beer sales have gone up almost 700 over just over 700%.
Holy cow.
Almost 1,200% increase in jersey sales from last year.
Jeez.
They have 800 million views in the last 4 months alone on their social media. Have added 1.3 million followers on their social media.
Holy cow.
And their corporate sponsorships are just over 200%. So,
Holy cow.
all in all, just a win for Caitlin Clark and probably even a bigger win
For the Fever.
for the Fever.
Yeah. Wow. That's incredible.
Yeah.
Wow. All right. My winner of the week, Big Mo. I'm going to go Major League Baseball. We don't talk a lot of Major League Baseball on the program here or on the channel. But Aaron Judge, New York Yankees, he hit quite a milestone this past week. He hit his 300th career home run. Now, despite being the fastest to get to that number, he is 32 years old. And we talked about this the other day on the Daily Lineup show. All three of us, me, you, and Trent, none of us thought he was going to end up breaking Barry Bonds' record of 762. I think we did a little math, and if he were to play another 6 years to take him to age 38, he'd have to average 77 home runs a year. I think the single season record is what, 72 or something like that, Barry Bonds. So he'd have to break that record every single year from now until 38.
Which is amazing that he's the youngest to get to 300.
Well, I wonder if maybe he spent, it all depends on when he came up to the big leagues too. If he didn't come up to the big leagues until he was 23 or 24, and they're probably basing that on games played. He did miss a significant amount of games.
So what was it? Was it
injury.
The quickest to 300 or the youngest to 300?
Quickest.
Oh, quickest. Okay.
Quickest. Yeah. So least amount of games to get.
Yeah.
So,
definitely.
I think we even said even if he played until he's 40, he'd have to average like 57 a year. Yeah. So, but still, that's quite a nice milestone. As long as he can get another 200, he'll definitely be a Hall of Famer. Which I think he'll easily be able to get another 200. So, winner of the week for me, Aaron Judge.
Well, congrats to Aaron.
All right, Big Mo. We will see you. Well, we'll see you on Tuesday at the Daily Lineup Show, Wednesday, Thursday as well, and then next Saturday morning for the next edition of the podcast. And we will send you out with the Big Mo Motivational Minute.
Hey, welcome back. Big Mo's Motivational Minute, or at least under a minute. Hey, I thought today there was a message I heard a couple weeks ago from a friend of mine, coaching friend. You know, we all can be very tough on ourselves. I know myself, I expect the best, almost perfection. And sometimes I can beat myself up when that doesn't happen. Give yourself some grace, learn from your past experiences, mistakes, grow from them, but give yourself some grace and leeway because you're doing the best you can. Remember that. Big Mo's Motivational Minute. Have a great weekend.